open the meeting. There you are. First thing is the minutes from May 9th. Minutes, review that.
You accept that?
Motion by Manning, second by Bob. All in favor? There's no meeting now, no appointments tonight. The revenue update, and everything, just handed that out. So we had a pretty good May.
Yeah. And just to point out, I revised the April number with the new report that it comes out a little bit differently, so I included the accounting line on the reporting, and that shouldn't be included. So April's number is actually 198. I think I reported 201, something like that. So that moving forward, I will be including that line on the reports. And the 286,615 is exclusive of that number. So that is the actual finish for May, compared to our May forecast of 262, which was a fantastic May. Fantastic May last year. An aggressive forecast, and we beat it. So, and as of right now, I didn't print it June, but I was looking at it a couple days ago, and we're ahead on June. So as long as weather cooperates, we should beat that 314 as well. But so again, I was telling them, we chatted that 314. Look, these are big numbers now, right? Start looking at past history and where we're at. But Steve will attest, the parking lot's full. As soon as we open the gates, there's bodies ready to play. And everybody is loving what we did on 7, 8, 9, that whole spin through of that. And if they're asking what we're going to do next, what's next on your agenda, what's coming up. So just tell them, stay tuned, because we have some other smaller projects taking place. So across a lot of positive feedback. And we've got, you guys watched the last finance committee meeting, where they were stating Tom Alden had guys that he knew out in Foxborough looking to buy passes here, and chairman of the finance committee in his practice speaks to a number of his customers, patients, and they, play golf, where you play, and everybody's alluding to that Acushnet is the place to play. So, props to Steve and the crew for the due diligence in getting it done, because the place looks fantastic. Yeah, we're up.
And if we hit the 300,000 in June, we'll be over 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions of Dana on the revenue? Good job.
Thanks.
Maybe we want to review a little bit of that 25.
Sure. Yeah. So I think in the previous meeting, it was stated in the minutes, with the revised budget, looking at $1,936,247 prepped the forecast for that number as well. And let's see, if you take your current forecast and put what projected up next to it, we've had roughly a very conservative number in April and November. So obviously, with as much money as we had to add into it, we had to put some revenues in those months. And then if you go down the line, pretty much stayed pretty consistent.
Except for
It's April and November. We added some numbers on those months, because those are the biggest bills, right? I mean, that's when we have to do it. But as I had this discussion, numerous forecasts the last 3 or 4 years through COVID, as players ramped up. If we start banking on those months, and you get a normal, fall or a normal spring, kind of like what we saw this year, right? You can't really bank on it, because if you get flooded out, or if New England ever gets a snowstorm again, and it comes early, you don't get those revenues in that postseason. Guys, at the end of the season, tend to hand up their clubs on the first drop of snow. So just to, and as Ed and I discussed as well, I mean, if that comes into play, then obviously we come back to the drawing board and we modify our expenses and say, all right, we're going to go back and not spend so much doing this, this, and this. And so we'll just have to go back to the old school way we used to do it. Fortunately, right now, the revenues are coming so we can support the business where needed because the volume, sales volume is there. But, I mean, it's not like it would be anything new for us to go back and do it the old way because that's where we're born and raised. Yes, take a peek at it.
Really optimistic one. We exceeded that a year ago in March, April. So.
That brings the rounds from 33.6 to 35.7.
Yeah, and if you take a look at where we're at now, we're falling in at roughly 30, and in the past June, we did, 5.5. And so you add that, and you're right in the ballpark.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised revenue plan, January 936, 247.
Second that motion from Ed, second by Danny, all in favor? And that matches what we put together for the revised budget. So we're going to revenue plan that matches the projected budget.
Right.
Revenue. Okay, so next thing, National Bell Foundation report, the timeline. Spoke with Richard this week quite a bit on the phone. There's a few things a few questions that I've written down over the past month or so that we were questioning, looking at. We're making some minor modifications to the final plan, report, I should say. And he said he was going to have it either today or tomorrow. He promised me if it wasn't done today, he promised it would be done tomorrow. I didn't get it by the time I left work today, so it would be in my inbox tomorrow. And I'll share it with everybody. He said the final report will be done by tomorrow. Essentially, in some of his long-range forecasting, we were looking at his level of expenditures in certain categories. I thought we were looking at a little bit high as far as taking on at some point in the future $500,000 a year in debt. Currently, we were paying around $360. So I said I'd be more comfortable keeping that $360, $400, instead of just assuming now we're going to go to $500, as an example. He was putting in annual capital repairs to just keep doing things over and above all the leases and whatnot, of about $150,000 per year, typically a little more closer to $50,000. He thought for our size operation, instead of doing articles on the side, that should just be in our base budget. But if we didn't want it to be in the base budget as a recurring expense every year, he said he could see bringing that down a little bit, and then we would still approach it the way we do now. We have a good year, we go to town meeting, we have a little bit of extra, so building it right into the annual. Same thing with, when we call it the contingency, we put that $100,000 in, but we don't factor that into our cash flow. It's a true contingency. He was factoring in cash flow into an actual cash flow for contingency on a year-to-year basis, and pretty much assuming that was spent, so it accumulates over time. For us, where we've only ever dipped into that if we need to kind of balance things right in. So I didn't think that was, especially looking at a 5 to 10 year projection, to project that the contingency would be spent each and every year cumulatively. So we just made a few minor revisions and things like that. And then it's just like I said, by tomorrow I'll have the final report. He said for us to share with whoever we want to share it with, and obviously the finance committee, the selectmen, and all of us read through it, and he said he's more than willing to come up after that and do a presentation and answer questions in person. He's pretty wide open coming up to work. we look at it for a couple of weeks with all the different departments, you want to have one big joint meeting, you can come up pretty much whenever and present that to us. That's what that is. I said if I get it tomorrow, I'll email it out to everybody so you all have that. Clubhouse architect, RFP. That's me, pretty much. I have the RFQ completely put together. I just really wanted to make sure one last time, because I am, that we're on board with going forward with this, and we think this is a good next step to have from an architect engineer's eye what we think we could do with the property and clubhouse / pro shop, whatever we want to call it. So I think that's the right way to go. Somebody's trained eyes is what they do in this space. What I didn't want to do is put the advertisement out there, have firms spend their time responding to us if we, for some reason, thought we weren't going to do it. So I really just want to make sure, as I do, that we're all on board and wanting this next step to go forward and see what we can find out from them. It's not saying that something's being built tomorrow, but it's the next step I feel that we have to take so we can even think about what we would want to look at. So,
Should we discuss that with the selectmen and town admin as well, and see what their mindset is?
I don't think necessarily you discuss it with them because this person's basically doing the same thing you do as an architect on Bunkers Road. He's taking what you've expressed to him that you're interested in or feel that, I agree. And he could be, they could tell him what the clientele has been asking for, or when you're going to do this, when you do that, and he could put the ideas in place. I would rather go to the selectmen with some ideological plan as opposed to just have it in from the beginning. They got 15 million things to do now.
Sure.
And, I'd rather go to somebody with something organized to say, here, comment on this, and then add your, instead of,
exactly, just knowing that contracts need to be approved and put out there, I didn't want something to get held up, but I agree with you, Steve, I don't know the mindset too that we want to approach the selectmen in the town saying, hey, we've done this, we've been saying almost a year now that we were going to do this. We've got somebody who professionally designs layouts, things. Here's the conceptual plan. And then you can do, obviously, in any project, there's going to be modifications from the initial plan, but at least it'll be a good starting point. As long as there's no objection,
I think that's good as well.
put it out, except I had it all on my computer ready to go. I just didn't physically send it out, just wanted one last consensus of our group to make sure that we want to do this as the next step.
do we have somebody already in mind or something?
Orders you put out, you have to advertise that you're looking for somebody. So then firms respond back and say they would be interested in our project. And then they give their background and like projects that they've done. And then from there we can rank them or select them based on their qualifications, prior experience for what we're looking for. But the first step is we have to actually advertise and put out and say this is what we're looking for. And give firms the opportunity to respond back to us and say, yes, we're interested in your project.
I actually had a group of architects that played just the other day, and the guy came in and he was chatting up about, you need a clubhouse, you need this, and everybody has an opinion, all right? And I said, yeah, well, that's what actually we've been discussing lately. And he goes, really? Because I'm here with 4 guys in my firm and we're architects. I'm like, well, keep your eyes peeled because you might be doing something, and this is what we're thinking along these lines. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go out to my table, have a couple of beers, and we're going to have a discussion with the guys. Perfect. So I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that are willing to jump in.
Exactly. They work for a firm or own a firm, and they also play golf, and they'd be interested in doing a project in a place that they like to frequent as well. So that's why we advertise and put it out there and let these firms hopefully see it and say, hey, you know what, I would be interested in Acushnet's job. And
sure.
Here's our background, here's our proposal. So, all right, I think that's a consensus that put that going.
So we begin to advertise for it.
And I emailed Jamie just to see, because I myself couldn't put the ad online. We said Tanya or Sydney can help out with that, so I'll put together what they need to do. Say this piece needs to go advertise here, this piece needs to be advertised there. Hopefully they can post that for me. Because it's two unbind places in the state we're supposed to put it. You have to have an account from the local agency. I have my own login where I work, but I couldn't post on behalf of Acushnet the right login, so they have to do it for us. But even the resident rate, so my understanding that we
Miss something.
we should agree. Oh, I'm sorry.
Bunker C to E.
Sorry about that. See, I moved down. Bunker renovations, next steps. See.
We just lost 30 minutes. Well,
No, actually, we could have saved 30 minutes about a month and a half ago. We're basically ready a month and a half ago to go with this. And basically what you need to do with it is the same thing that you just mentioned with this architect's request for quotes for the clubhouse. All this has to do is to take the specifications and the other documents, which were finalized, and I sent a copy to you. And that has to be presented the same way to someone, who can advertise it for us at town hall. I got 3 or 4 guys that sitting there talking, so where's your advertising? So where is it? I said, well, I can't give it to you. I have to, put it out. Okay, basically said, well, you gotta get moving because October's coming quick. And actually half of them are pretty much booked right now already. So. But everything's ready to go. All we need to do is put it in the hands of the people who are going to give you the quote.
I know at one point Tim Garrish had sent out things saying, oh, what we needed to do is put it like that one from a few years ago, so it's all set now.
No, that was me that said it would be a good idea to have it arranged like this. And then we went back and forth, and then the last email that I sent you, I think it was about a week ago, maybe longer, that had that final copy in it that we went through, and I told him, I said, all I need to know is how to advertise this. I said, if it was up to me, I would advertise it 2 months ago. But I don't have, like you, I don't have the login or whatever it is that needs to be done to advertise it because the materials are there. Specifications are there, the drawings are there, everything's ready to go. But I think maybe we put both of them together and say, okay, here, do this
at the same time.
and that, because like I said, you're running a fine line with availability of contractors, and by that I mean, everybody and their brother wants their project done in October, November, and so we're it's depending on what they come back with numbers wise and how we decide to proceed. And then that will dictate whether who fits in that timeline.
Well, the thing that we need most of is to get the numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
You can make the final decision.
Yeah, and the only way to
Just prepare it.
yeah, that's how you get the number. Said those things, and they say how much it's going to cost to do. So, in the end, that needs to be advertised the same way the RFQ for the clubhouse architect. And I believe that would, like you said, that's through someone in the selectman's office just putting it on with copies and something else.
Combines in the central register.
Combines and central register.
Combines on that. They're like connected to the central register, but they can't, I don't know, Combines on it. So hopefully they do, and we get both of these on there next week. Combines post immediately, so as soon as they enter it, it's out there.
Yeah, because I talked to Mr. Kelly on the 12th, and he said he would be able to assist with that, but it would have to be next week because he had some medical appointments, other things that they came up this week. So
Hopefully we get both out next week.
with regards to the RFQ, do you put in specs on that? What you're thinking for size and shape or style, or is that kind of like?
It's pretty much up to them when you start working with them, right? I mean, we put in that we're looking for a conceptual plan for, Photoshop, and I had like basic specs, and
So we allow some creativity.
basically saying that we just budget, we would come in, check in, small Photoshop,
Yeah.
bar service area,
Right.
with then potential seating, indoor outdoor.
Excellent restrooms.
Well, they'll leave, the restrooms are dictated under the building code, they decide and stuff, so that's up to them. So we give the conceptual, big plan of what we want, and they take their eye and mind and do the space. Probably, not probably, they will ask us what we think potentially we would want a maximum budget to be, because they don't want to design some grandiose thing if it's not what we want or not what we want to pay for. But if it's something, obviously not a trailer, we're not some private club that needs function halls and changing rooms and everything else, right? Something scaled down in between.
Yeah.
For the developers then use their expertise to say, okay, what would fit the space, the layout, and the budget that we're looking for is up to them.
Understood.
Cheaper the better.
Most.
So you don't want to go too cheap.
Well, the cheap-
I'm sure, I'm sure, that wasn't the ideology when you built your place. So,
When you acquired it,
I gotta pay $23,000 to put new windows on my house. And I could have gone for $14,800, but by the time I sat down and talked to two different people, I wasn't gonna want the $14,800 compared to what the other guy could do, so. That's less extravagant,
I think we'll do
better.
Fair price for a fair building.
Yeah.
Well, when we walked in, because you walked in, how we walk, you got to pay the people the right thing.
Right.
You get to go outside, try to do something fundamentally different.
Right.
I talked to all of them, it's like, have some building and building, bring it in, and all this stuff. That way you can say.
You could do a,
Build guys, everybody makes a little, not a little, a lot.
Yeah.
When I break mine down, I find somewhere around about 25 or 30% is actually what you spend, the rest is all on that.
yeah.
Although unfortunately, prefab's not as inexpensive as it used to be. You just built a prefab bathroom, or three of our fields, and triple. You don't even want to know the price you just paid for it.
And some places just don't make any sense.
From what I hear, they say the codes are more strict because you have to transport it, correct? So you have to pass certain inspections in certain phases, so that adds to the cost of.
Well, they're expanding costs because there are certain people in the other business, in the same business, who don't want the prefab to be, less expensive than building on site. The whole idea, it's not so much prefab, it's building inside. And everything is put together, coded and labeled. I mean, you can get a log cabin built over there by, one company. They actually build it, and they mark everything. And they take it apart, and they bring it to you, and they put everything back together exactly the same way it was with code, where the electrical goes, where the, how many...
I just had that experience with my son. My son just built in a house, and they put it here, 3 bags, that much. But it was in 4 pieces.
Yeah.
The lives and all. 2 bedroom. Almost a 2 bedroom, downstairs, upstairs.
It's
The
like,
one thing that matched was the floor system for 1 bathroom, 2 the other bathroom. It was off. We had to pull it out.
kind of the whole thing that it makes it.
Somebody got hit.
Yeah.
But it was great. If you see it, it was all sometimes around. It was pretty nice.
So hopefully we can get those both out next week. Now,
The one thing I'm saying that is when we got these people, then maybe we should also ask, these are the people, what they think and what they show for us. And then we can compare.
one firm that is potentially interested in giving us a proposal, even said the same thing, that they would look at traditional stick building versus modular versus whatever to give us the best bang for our buck depending on the design. Because it's not unlimited design, but we don't need anything that's so intricate, I don't think anyway. Everything is potentially, we want the cars to need, we just need the framing to be able to support whatever you build above it, so the cars can go underneath. Then you have that base, anything can be built in a rectangle.
Yeah. We
constantly, right? When you're running out of the box for this lot, you just have a better
We
box.
just need 4 boxes to get there.
All the boxes gotta work. That work, not just work in one area and doing the others. All boxes have to work.
Even
Steve, how large is the packages? This push for the bunkers.
Oh, I'd say probably with the design drawings in it, probably about 34 pages. maybe. But it's got all the, you know, information in there, you know, the price sheet that the contract has to look at. And it has the, basic design drawings in it, it has the specifications for the, you know, the depth in the bunkers where the drain is supposed to go, who's responsible for, you know, upkeep of the sidewalks and stuff. It covers all the bases, so I'd say,
But there's nuts in that bunker. There's nuts in there.
maybe not so.
Not the ones like on the heat, right?
Well, you have the option of a bunker line. Well, the preferred bunker line is capillary concrete. If somebody wants to quote a different bunker liner that would do the same, or like material. I mean, either that. I mean, if you don't want to put that type of bunker line, then you can go old school and just pack the bottom of the clay. But unfortunately, what's going to happen in 5 or 6 years with the freeze and thaw and gravel is the rocks are going to come up through the bottom. And you're not going to be able to maintain the flashed faces, so you could get rid of it by just having a flat bunker and have a flashed face. So those are the options to say, okay, well, if you look at that design and say, okay, well, let's take out this flashed face as a 10 hole because we can't maintain it anymore because it falls, you know, it's going to fall apart, you know, where it's going to wash down, or people just won't stop walking bunker faces. To me, I mean, okay, it's steep this way, and if you go that way, it's flat. So why do you have, I see people falling. And I say, wait a minute. I said, you know, yeah, it might be a few extra steps, but at least it's flat. You're not going to twist your ankle, you're not going to fall down. There we go, like they're climbing Everest up there or something. So,
The only reason I brought up on the first one, I think the first one is a great question. Probably not have a week of trying to build properties without cement and all that stuff. We're gonna make them be good and worthwhile for us with like all the counties that they used to do before. Instead of going with all this.
it's a lining option. People putting liners in bunkers. I mean, you saw when we've had a problem. I tried to go the non-expensive way with a synthetic or fabric liner, and for some reason, I don't know, the coyotes just love the liner. They go in the middle of the bunker and they start digging and they pull the bloody thing out. So now I've got to the point now when we go in, when we start edging, you know, some of these bunkers and re-adding sand, I'm just going to take all the old sand out, pull the bloody liner out, and put the sand in, and that's going to be it. Because it's just frustrating and it looks terrible. I mean, it's pieces of stuff that they pull out and people follow the
Plain what they did.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, again, like I said, I mean,
That's my own experience. I knew the green that I had, this sheet, but actually, the quote or whatever they have on the black words, they flip everything that look at the reps. That I lost the whole thing. I was there in the morning and I'd have an area like this all turned over.
yeah, look like the road's over. Yeah.
It don't make sense to go the cheap way out and have to repair it every other year. You know,
But you
spend $40 and get it done, and get it done, and
I've seen
have ease of mind of
I've seen some of the bunkers. What do you think about the
You use that on like the high volume bunkers that rather than doing 10 3 or 4 times, go 18 3 or 4 times. You pick the bunkers that we've had problems with, we use the good stuff on those, and then the ones that you're not really messing with, you
What about looking at like I've seen them done some places that they dig the bunker out and then they build grass, they bring the side and lay it in the bottom and let it grow, they grow it, and then they go over it. And they use that as a line.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you can use you can use sod as a base in the bunker. I mean, it just, eventually, I mean, sod's organic, eventually it's going to break down.
Oh, everything's breaking up.
I have it in me right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's other options, so, if, then contractors are more than welcome to suggest an option. I forget how the wording goes.
We'd like to see the various ways that make, that's the point that I wanted to make.
Well,
I don't even like to see it right
there's
clay,
capillary concrete, there's billy bunkers, there's solid floor bunkers, there's a material that's made out of rubber or something else that some guy used to use in paddocks for horses that they put in the base. I mean, I'd be willing to say probably 10 to 15 different types of bunker liners out there. It's just what the experience that people have had up in this part of the country, with which ones they've used and what they haven't used. I mean, if I'm doing a fairway bunker and it's flat, I'm really not going to worry about the liner because it's not going to be a big deal. But the bunkers that are closer to the greens, it saves the integrity of the bunker floor, but it also prevents the stones from coming up and people hitting the stones on the bunker. And then the stones
But that does not prevent anybody from climbing up.
Well, the only thing that's going to prevent somebody from climbing up is a barbed wire fence or a guy with a shotgun. One or two. I mean, whether it's a sod face or anything, they're not going to stop climbing.
Steve, is the quote going to be on all of them? Individuals?
I believe there's a price quote for the entire project, and then you can go through and you can go back and decide to not do portions of the project, either get a quote or call the individual contract and say, okay, we might take this out, what's in there.
But now the contract that you're putting out is with the cement.
It has that in there as the bunker lining option. Yes.
That's expensive.
It's not.
It's only money, people. We're trying to build Pebble Beach and Cushnet.
No, you're not trying to build Pebble Beach and Acushnet. What you're trying to do is build a bunker. I mean, literally speaking, bunkers and golf courses now are rebuilt every 15 to 20 years, minimum. You let them go past, especially the amount of volume you have in a public golf course. I mean, did you happen to watch the event down in North Carolina this past weekend? How would you like to play out of those?
Oh, yeah.
But this isn't a Pebble Beach idea. This is just a material that works well in lining the base of the bunker. It's porous, so the water goes through it. You can put drains underneath it. If we don't want it, if we look at the quote and say, okay, well, this is too much, then we'll just say, okay, well, take that out. Or we're not going to do that, or we don't want to do that. I mean, really, the total cost of the project, you may be looking at 5 to 10% at the most, maybe not even that much. I mean, you're going to be between earth moving, digging, reshaping, sodding, and the bunker liner itself is a minimal expense compared to the overall project cost. But if you don't want it, you don't want it. I just put it in there because it's an excellent method.
I think we should have to check this. What we would have
Can they quote with separate, with different?
I forget what the wording is, but the contractor is allowed to quote the specified material or a substitute of equal or better quality, is what it says. So that's your alternative. Like if I tell him that all our bunkers on our golf course have 3 sand and gravel, 2 mil bunker sand. When you get 2 mil bunker sand, you call it 3 sand and gravel, and they give you a spec sheet about this ball, and it tells you the size of the sand particles in the bunker sand. So if somebody can match that with the same sieve size amounts in the bunker sand, and it's not some glaring white stuff from California or something, because all our sand comes from Carver. It's native sand, it comes from the Carver pit. So we don't want sand that doesn't look like the sand we already have. But if they can match that and they have a different supplier, then they can get it from a different supplier. But if It's just like anything else, same thing with the sod.
This year,
Price of sand is.
The price of everything.
You know, people don't realize that.
I mean, because people know that other people, I mean, contractors were sitting there, they weren't getting any work, and all of a sudden people started getting money in the golf business, and they said, well, it's time for us to start making money again. So, I mean, you know, you want to do it, you want to do it. My whole idea about this is this time that we stop nickeling and diming doing construction work on this golf course, and we start doing professional work by professionals that's going to last. I don't want to, you know, and if everybody wants to, nobody wants to do that, that's fine. But you know, it's just like, you know, it's like building your house, you know, with the guy who can do brick work, but he doesn't know how to do carpentry. You know, so that's all I'm trying to do is present it in that fashion. And, you know, that's the way it's done at 99.9% of all golf course construction anywhere it's done. That's the way it's done. So, you know, that's the way we were taught, that's the way we're, you know, you go to the national or you go to any of the turf conferences where people speak about the construction projects they do. They show you the process and the methods by which they go to get organized, determine what they're going to do and so forth. And that's the process that we're trying to follow here. If you don't want to follow it, that's fine, but, you know, we get the quote, we get it back, we don't like the size, we ask, you know, it's always going back and forth to get, you know, approximately the price that you want. And if you want to leave something out, you can simply say that can we redo your quote with a standard base, or with a, you know, another method of doing it.
So I think we have, you know, an idea of what we hope this is going to cost. I say let's just let it go out as put together. We've done all this work. We'll see what the price comes back. And if it's higher than we thought, then we investigate alternatives to potential forward. I think it's just fair.
Yeah, the only way you're going to find out is to get the cost.
Exactly.
And when the costs change,
Modify what you want done, but getting the good stuff for the projects that you do select for the price.
well, like you said, the number comes back to you, and it's not in the realm that you thought it was going to be. Then, you know, it's like anything else. You barter and negotiate, see where you can come to a, you know, a meet, amicable, is that the word? Amicable and point there.
All right. The Haven resident rate.
So most recently, with the Board of Selectmen have made an agreement with Fairhaven for sharing amenities between towns, and part of that agreement is to offer Fairhaven residents the Acushnet resident rate at the golf course, and that was effective as of June 4th, I believe was the date. So the Acushnet resident rates are basically $39 on the weekday and $62 on the weekend, car inclusive, and on 9 holes on the weekday it's $21 plus a cart fee if you want, and on the weekends it's $30 plus a cart if you want. And those are the prices that we've been using for the Fairhaven residents. So in discussing this, just trying to get an idea of how we were going to do what we were going to do, or how it was going to be conducted. Basically, what we fell back on was just creating these Fairhaven resident descriptions, much like we have the Acushnet residents descriptions, and we put those into the system. So moving forward, obviously the first week we just used the Acushnet resident because that was in the system. Since then, we've implemented the Fairhaven resident, so moving forward we'll count the rounds for the rest of the year.
So that way we can say what
Yes,
you're
again.
When is the town says the thing is program, when it comes back to the town?
What's that?
We're going to allow the Haven people to come.
Fairhaven residents are allowed.
What is the town is going to get in return?
I'm not privy to that. Something you teach, passes, or go up, parking, I don't know.
I mean, does anybody look to
That's that would be the negotiations and the deal specifications. We just basically implemented saying,
But I mean, do you implement it now, we should also have Haven implement what they're going to do for the.
I think that's live. went live on
At the
6
board,
more
at the Board of Selectmen's meeting that we were on the docket for the, I don't remember the exact date, for the triplexes, but this was, Mr. Romer's, project, I believe, and he brought up the fact that we wanted to have a similar, similar give and take, receive a similar, and he had mentioned what the process was going to be, and he was going to, I believe, organize and look into the process, and then it started, like Dana said, once they started there, and there you go.
We now know what we got in the.
I don't know specifically beach pass, and there's only a limited amount of beach passes.
100 beach passes.
That's all there is, and they're all gone already.
Yeah, somebody told me already that
They've been all wiped out already.
Yes.
So, I mean, we haven't limited how many players can come to a push.
Let's put it this way, we're just doing what we're told because this was the selectmen's, so we don't know.
We're longer to, by having a third present grades in the system.
Correct.
And see what the result is.
Right.
And if the request is
So if it exceeds whatever expectations,
is for this first
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Let's see how.
and we can modify the program moving forward, whatever it may be. Maybe you reduce the number, maybe you limit it, just maybe you change the price, but you can.
There's a price point somewhere in the middle, but after,
Yeah.
unless we see for a year, how many
Right.
how much advantage of it, so we're not gonna do that, so.
I'm still getting inquiries from Canadian residents, so they're just finding out about it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it hit the news and, gangbusters, there's still people still calling, saying, hey, is this true, what's going on? That could be, and I think in the eyes of the selectmen, I think they're trying to, build a program, so this is just phase 1, but they want to add things for Acushnet if they can. So that's the process, we're just going to count the rounds and see where it is, and then you go back to the negotiation table and see what else you can fit together with the program, I guess, I don't know. It's my perception of how it's going.
I thought we would do that first. I mean, if you got 100 people that have to buy, I don't even know what it costs, $100. I don't know.
The beach,
We're doing something.
you buy the beach pass,
They make
it's
some
good for the whole season.
We didn't get.
When they go to play golf, it's, you only play, you can play every week.
We try to save the youth.
It's, you don't have a free pass for the whole season.
Well, it's not so much a free pass, but you do have reduced rate for the entire season.
Right.
So each time you come, you're paying the reduced rate. And I'm sure that we had some people who participated in the course, who lived in Fairhaven, who now, who were paying the original cost, and now, obviously, they're going to pay the reduced cost.
Just like the seniors and the military did the pushing. You'll get more and more of them in playing.
I was gonna ask you, we honor, we have the rate.
This is pushing, yeah.
What is the
Same thing as the seniors.
That's 42.
Yeah, same thing as this.
If I go to the.
I made that motion.
I paid 42.
Last year.
You're
That.
I am.
It'll be our residents, which is even cheaper.
Yeah, right, that's even cheaper. On that.
So they take the choice.
Residents get the best discount. That's the way it should be, right? This is their hometown, they should have the best discount.
I don't object to that one.
These are your people.
Too late.
Take care of your team.
Until we go through one season, so we don't know how many pay, really, if it looks like it's not a fair balance, maybe we can do it with the selectmen the next year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just speaking to the resident, because residents come and ask about passes. Hey, I want to buy a pass. I'm a resident. Well, no, you don't. You don't want to buy a pass, because your rate is the best rate. If you buy a pass, you're paying too much. Just come in and pay as you go. That's your deal. You get a good deal. We're just trying to get people that don't live in Acushnet to buy more rounds and come in and enjoy the place.
So if you, Commissioner resident want to beach over, it costs $100 for the season. You get somebody from Fairhaven want to play golf here, you get, every time you get a different, charge every time. It'll be a whole lot more than $100.
Sure. That's what the thing that I would tell you.
Do I want to find that out?
Let's find that out.
cross pension and OPEB.
I put this on my list because when you look at our budget right now, all of our direct costs are being captured, except for OPEB and pensions. And the town is already beginning to use offsets for some of those transfers of funding to balance the budget. But if you see on the last town meeting, $36 million, and there was 89,000 transfers from golf expenses into the general budget to balance the budget. And Mr. Kelly said at the last finance committee meeting that they'd be looking forward to going forward with that. It's the only two remaining direct costs that has not been captured by us are the OPEB and the pension. So
Other people's employee benefits, when you retire, health benefits.
There's nothing else, it says post, P is post-employment benefit. And so it's really, OPEB, in my mind, it's essentially putting money aside in a fund to help pay retirement costs down the road, retirement benefits down the road. So it's a savings account that the town can have. So years from now, if they wanted to, they could take money out of that to pay retirees health insurance costs. You retire from the town of Bristol County, you keep the town of Bristol's health insurance in retirement. This is basically a savings fund, for lack of a better term, where down the road, the town can take money back out of it to help pay those costs.
So how do they calculate how much any particular entity needs to contribute?
There are,
I guess they were looking at 89,000 or something.
those current, that includes what? Employee unemployment, health insurance, Medicare payments. That's what's in the budget now.
That's correct.
But these are not.
Correct.
I had the Julie Beaver and Todd estimated, and both of them estimated that that would be about 15,000. The pension would be like 110,000. So
How's pensions so much for?
I still disagree with the pension thing. When Julie was here, no offense, I like Julie, but she couldn't give me a clear explanation as to where the calculation was coming from. Right, the town of Acushnet as a whole receives Bristol County assessment, the Bristol County retirement. It's Acushnet's portion of the entirety of Bristol County, of what the county retirement needs to run. They looked at Acushnet as a percentage of that. That's what Acushnet as a town owes. And then from there, to me, if you were to try and parse that out, you have, I'm making this up, 250 town employees that all pay into Bristol County retirement. What is the percentage of just the golf course employees that pay into Bristol County retirement as a percentage of that total? Right. And then apply that percentage to the county assessment. That's not, at least a few years ago, that's not the way they did it. They looked at golf course salaries. Not every dollar of salaries at the golf course is a pensionable salary that's paid. So for all the part-time, seasonal bad boys that don't pay into Bristol County retirement, those salaries are not counted in any assessment towards us.
Yeah, they're required to pay into code for almost the other 10 or anything.
Yes.
the point is we need to,
So there might be some dollar amount, but my point is that I don't think it should be that high.
but I think we need to figure out and get an agreement between whoever the town administrator and ourselves, if that is acceptable going forward. It's not in the FY25 now, but I would think that we need to open up a discussion get it onto.
I submitted a Brewster budget to Ed, we were looking at it, and,
This is big now.
yeah, here's a big number, they're running 2 tracks, right? So, but,
But where would
yeah, well, they've probably been operating much longer than us, so.
Yeah, but you look at the number of people who you have, as Dave said, who basically, I mean, you know, we have 4.
Right.
My staff, myself, Kevin, Norm, and Budge, that's it. The other guys are all retired.
That's who I said, so it's really only 6 people.
Yeah, so I don't.
But all my retired guys that work for me are asking why are they still putting money into the retirement program because they're already retired.
Well, they take it, they have some silly state requirement.
The state requires, it, unless you already retired from the public.
Guys who are 3 years old, they can get my money.
So how do we get this beyond?
Well, it's really more that some other entity or department in town thinks they want to move towards assessing us, like they're going to us, that it should be equal with any other enterprise fund and come forward with their proposal and their methodology behind it.
Methodology is key.
I don't think we should be going out of our way to say, you should take more money from us.
Because in addition to that, we have the indirects. What you think? The town's gonna be looking for money.
Yeah, but the town, as Dave said, I mean,
True indirects, I completely disagree with that, because no one in town hall's job is going to change, or the salaries aren't going to change, if they're forced to close up and go out of business tomorrow.
Correct.
So why are we going to take this portion of every single person in this building, pretty much, and say the golf course is going to supplement it, when that they have nothing to do with our operations, right? That's a true indirect saying, hey, you've got money, we're going to take it. I'm really not in favor of that at all. If the golf course is costing the town money, okay, we can talk about that. But not about true indirects. Not unless we're at a point where we're making $500,000 a year and don't know how to spend it. No.
So, hey, it's not just, that's weekend finalized too. We now advise that we're going to pay the other 75% of 75% on the use tax.
Oh, right.
Because now, Christian's still at 6.25, and they're going to raise it up to 7. So I got to work and pay. They tell me you got to pay it all to the state, and the state pays back. I never had any money. I got to do all this work, and there's no money coming. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, you could have.
They even take more if you don't pay it in time. You got a penalty.
it sounds like some kind of slush.
Only gonna get worse.
Green
During the pandemic, they closed me. It was not that I didn't have work. We had work, but they said you cannot operate. I asked for an abatement. You know what the answer was? Come downstairs. The next door. Take me to court.
Thanks a lot.
Jason, nice talking, you mentioned the balance of budget. Jason, every penny we get, balance the budget.
Also, you guys reeled it down. Congratulations. That was quite a task.
Greens Committee Subcommittee.
Yes, I put that on the agenda in that it's Greens Committee and the subcommittee. It's something that was proposed by myself back in 2018 as we were working on the roles in the board of the golf course. We proposed, put it together. We had some these procedures that we thought we should put in place. The one was the Greens Committee. And that was made up of 2 people at the time it was voted, the golf committee, and Rudy and I would represent the Greens Committee. We basically work with Steve and Dan on a regular basis to try to implement moving forward during the interim of our monthly meetings. So we meet once a month, Danny and I will meet with Steve again on a regular basis. And to see if we can bounce ideas off of both of them, see if we can make progress. So that when we come to the next meeting, we will have, because we are in the subcommittee, there's no total authority to vote. If we can meet with them and see, get a recommendation from them, it makes sense to me and I, then we can then put it on the agenda for the whole committee. To kind of keep things moving forward. The question now is that a successful deal? Because Ian and I have not been very successful in seeking, putting things on the agenda for discussions. My recommendation is similar to the status report that we discontinue. Please continue to operate, putting agendas forward on a monthly basis, even if it does delay things somewhat.
And then because one of them is in 2000 year, and we will never accept the party to go forward. We suggest something, we ask for something, there was always excuses not to execute. So we were just moving there on top and coming over here and just kept aggravated. And if there's a lot of examples that I can give you on this business center, but Ed and I discussed it and all that, it just didn't make sense for us to tell them to buy something or do something. And they accept that all immediately when we say if something is available, let's get this. But when we ask for this to be done or that to be done, a budget to be cut, or cans not to be stored, gots to be on the bin where they belong. The gots to be washed. I mean, I think that the cats, since we opened last March, the cat was just open the other day because the selectmen went over there and requested all kinds of cookies because of the Lions Club cats were going to be dirty. Got washed, tables got washed, chairs got cleaned, everything else. We tried to do things like that, we never got anything. They can rebel on their things. And they gave us the authority to put these sticks forward. And they never get done. The selectmen goes up, they put it on paper, and nobody ever accepts that. They think that we would just give, I don't know what. I mean, sometimes I have to push and make time to live it. And, but, because you won't deal with them, you do things wrong, and it's always an excuse, nothing gets done. I mean, the guy didn't get cleaned until this Saturday since the guy would deliver most of them in January, March, was that?
Guys were washed when we were open, and they were set to be washed that morning anyways. I just was coming in, and I had told Mr. Gasper that
all of the time in between, that guy's never got washed. And the guy's got to be washed more often. You can't pack the potatoes underneath the towels. They're going to be clean. Every other place I go, they clean them every day. And why pushing the cans? Why do we have to leave them outside? And every car has a key. And we will go outside here, they line up for old roller cars, and they turn them on, they leave it. Nobody else uses the key up there. The car's been running there maybe for 4 or 5 hours. So when that key is on, the battery gets, power gets, things are working again, let me put it another way. And us in the there. And we try to talk about these things. Just go with it. So that's why we have a line discussed. Is that quorum school? can do that picture, yeah. I'm not getting very happy to make decisions, but if selectman gets off the roads and we said, well, we give you the permission. But I told them the other day, so now they have the VAs that will tell them that they have to listen to them. It's in that piece of paper, well, nobody reads it, you're just doing the traffic, they don't know what happened, right? Because we had a need for that. That's it.
So what do? Just do away with the rules committee?
To me, I feel there's value in it, in knowing that aside from even playing, that you're there and seeing and trying to, if you see something, say something, as they say, right? You're trying to make recommendations or something, you need to report back to the five of us. Right? The theory of it is beneficial.
And just give you one for instance. We've been for 2 years or more asking for chairs to be bought. You know, we asked even Dana to look, brings a catalog with the things, let's look at the chairs, how much they cost, how they made, and this and that. Nothing. I have to bring the chair here, we'll see it.
That's not true. Go back to the meetings that, and you said, here, specific meeting, you said to buy the chairs, I said I'd buy the chairs, and then at the end of the meeting, I said, don't buy the chairs. So I said, okay, we're not buying the chairs, we're not buying the chairs.
I said don't buy it until the golf committee approves the purchase.
Okay. So then when he brought the chair in, I said, this is the chair, and he said, yes. Boom, we had him that week.
Now, but what about all the time that we ask you to get that information? I got the chair, no, you didn't
I
get the chair.
presented you the catalog.
Okay. Jay, that's in your book, but if we didn't do nothing about it, then we can't.
We never said to buy
make a decision.
There it is. Chairs.
Which chair did you pick?
The one that's circled, right here.
Yeah?
$19.99 was the price.
And we've never produced that.
July 13th, 2003.
We've asked for another suggestion that we got to put the hunts on the captain, so the guys could go underneath there. We never had a report on how much it would cost, or how we could get it, because that would save some wear and tear. Every year, you know about that keys deal, every time you go to a thing, it's in the car, you try to go on, and the thing, the cars are closed down, for Christmas, you go there, the car is running. Just go on the gas and go.
Not true. Not true. He doesn't understand the operations. He's creating a false narrative. One row is on. The row, outside row is on. That's 8 carts. When those carts are then used, my starter comes up and unlocks the next row. When those 8 carts are done, we do the next 8 carts. And we do that for the whole day. And then when they're all on, and on the course, then they're being used.
So tell me something,
And they
you bet all those times that the keys were on, how much wear and tear never really done?
It only works when you hit the gas. That's when the fuel injector engages. That is true.
That's
That's
all
all.
I forgot. If you turn that key on, the battery is in charge, and all the electricity works in there because the key is on. Everything works in there. It's rules and rules. Everywhere else you go, you see, I think that there's not another golf course in in Massachusetts that doesn't have the key given when you go. The guys are not on, it's a key that you take it, and then when you come back, you turn the back with the key on, and they watch it, and they give it. And that's the way it should be stored over there. And it should be stored over there, not lying up on those damn roads over there. That was not built for that idea. That was built to states, when we have our the other one of these things, and one of these days I thought somebody would get there. There was on the road there, and they're like this, you can't, if you ever got here, in the NC of the road, you have to come all all the way down here to get into that little lane because you can't, because they're all done up. And then you can't touch the middle guy. Well, you know, you can get the two outsiders. At least that's the way I saw it. I think this is, try to do it, we couldn't succeed. We bought power washers because they didn't have power washers, we bought power washers. I don't know if they're still working or not, one was last year, was in, we bought one.
I think so.
Yeah, it was the electric part.
That's what we used to wash the cars, the power washer. Then we get those again.
Either way, the Greens Committee concept doesn't seem to be. My recommendation is just to do it. Steve, or do you see any reason to keep it?
The thing that confuses me about the Greens Committee, I don't know if it's nomenclature, but Greens Committees are normally made up of 5 to 6 people who are active participants at the golf course, whether they, active members always playing and so forth. And then you have that and we have, and I have monthly meetings with the Greens Committee, and the Greens Committee chairman, now of course it's different because you're on TV, you have certain regulations, but the Greens Committee chairman would post what he thought necessary to discuss at that time, and then they would always ask me for a report, and then I would go through the report, and then they go around the table and see if anybody had any questions, or if anybody had something that they wanted to discuss that they didn't bring to the Greens Committee chairman prior to the meeting. I thought for the most part our meetings were beneficial. The only issue I have with the way Manny described it, there are times when you would have suggestions about what you want to be done, but what you want to be done has to be done in the context of who we have, what we have available to do it, and when. And at certain times, if you go out there now and look, since we just picked up 6 people at the beginning of this week, all the bunkers have been edged, all the bunkers have been weeded and so on, and once Kevin gets back from vacation next week, we're going to take that 6-person crew, we're going to start to cut new edges with the edging machine, and we're going to start adding new sand. But again, this takes people and this takes bodies. Other than that, I don't really see where there was not a lot that attention wasn't given to. I took notes at every one of those meetings, and I put them in my computer, and I can show you them here, and Kevin and I would discuss them the next day to see where we were going to go and how we were going to get it done. I will admit that at times I forgot some things, or I took other things and I purposely put them on the back burner because we were in the middle of things and I wasn't going to stop what I was doing to address this. In conclusion, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a good idea to have that kind of, smaller contact, although my question was always whether or not the committee had to approve something in whole, or whether or not the Greens Committee was doing what they felt necessary, but the rest of the committee might not feel it was necessary, or might feel it was necessary in a different format, different structure, or different time. That was my opinion. You want to come meet me, that's fine. I have no problem, especially now since my office has some air conditioning. I'm more than happy to sit for a few minutes. But if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. We're going to continue to try to do the best we can with the resources we have, and as we have in the past, and we'll continue to do in the future as long as I'm in charge of that portion of the operation. So, if you want to have meetings, we have meetings. If you don't, we don't. Again, I thought for the most part you guys had good ideas, and it was nice to sit down and talk to people where you could talk more freely because you weren't being recorded and splattered all over town and everything else. So I didn't think it was a bad idea. So, I will endeavor to do better if we decide to continue. If we don't decide to continue, well then. It's not going to significantly change my approach to the way, my dedication to the way I do my job. I'll still be here tomorrow morning at 3:45, changing.
Working hard and making it happen.
because, yeah, we got a 1 o'clock shot that tomorrow afternoon, and I'm 1, 2, 3, 4 people short. So
How many did you get now?
well, we picked up 6 new kids, and they worked out really well. And some people asked me, well, why did you pick 6? And I said, well, first of all, I'm preferential to athletes. And of course, I picked 5 out of 6 athletes. And this one has a baseball tournament for 4 days in a row, and that one's playing soccer. And this one's going there. And I said, wait a minute, that probably wasn't quite as smooth. But we do have, we have 6 of them, 4 of them work from 6 o'clock in the morning. That's the other thing, when I don't start working until 6 o'clock. From 6 o'clock in the morning till 11:30. They're being trained now. They had started working weekends about a month and a half ago. They're good kids, they're on time, they do what's asked of them. They're smart kids. The only drawback is, and it's not so much a drawback, is, Bob will probably appreciate, there's no farm kids anymore. So you gotta teach them everything. I mean, absolutely everything. John, like you said, maybe agree to the same thing. I mean, you can hire farm kids knew how to run this, how to run that.
Yeah, you're up at 4 a.m.
Now but they're good kids.
They know how to run one thing really good.
Yeah, that's what we do. We teach them how to do one thing really well, and then once they get proficient at that, we try to teach them something else, because I don't want to produce, a mundane approach by them, because then they're going. I mean, kids these days get bored and drop the hat. And I want to keep them engaged, but I also want to develop them, because I need them to possibly be equipment operators. When they got one guy who's got one guy's out sick, and the other guy had to go to a funeral on the same day. So I lose 2 equipment operators right off the bat. So we need to have one of those. I mean, one of them is fairly proficient on cutting greens already. And he did a nice job yesterday. So it works out. You guys want to get rid of those meetings, that's fine. If you don't, I'll try to improve.
One of the reasons those 2 was because everybody was complaining how long it takes to hire somebody. And we talked to the selectmen several times. Then we did several times. And then if you would come to us, have them all, and if you had the kids right there, we could approve or disapprove if you hire it. And we would cut the time that you hire it and a half. I thought that these were all good things, and we would operate that way.
Well, that was definitely a good thing.
But
Better thing.
it seemed that everything we tried was not because there's no help.
It was still making.
Places rocking. Best golf course, southeast of Mass. We're pulling guys off the Cape in traffic.
So how about we,
I mean,
because I said that because I'm not the one who's going to meet them. But how about if we keep the committee a little while longer, but we put it as a item on the agenda of each meeting, it's kind of like report back what's happened in the past few weeks. So that if there's some consensus, or if there's some intention that maybe something is or isn't happening, and then if the 5 of us are together, it takes a vote to actually direct something that maybe, if that's a concern, is that kind of a compromise to try over the next couple months and see together we can meet up this season just to try to get the benefit of it in the meeting, and are there any things out there that are communicated in between these monthly meetings? Then also on this side here, we're saying that do you feel that there are suggestions and maybe they're not being potentially acted upon, and then if the 5 of us as a whole feel it's something that needs an actual vote and not just a meeting committee recommendation, whether we could a little bit more force it if need be. If it's actually on the agenda and we say, okay, the Greens Committee, I'm not just wants to sell Gatorade. We can have something stupid, right? And there's no Gatorade in it, but we want Gatorade and it's still not there. But then if the crowd says, some sort of sports drink should be available, they end up figure out from your supply, I know that's a dumb example, but just, I think there was something out there to say, potentially it's something that 2 people think they would want.
No, but the one
happening out
big problem that goes through this is sometimes discount. I mean, Baylor is very strong in our buying people. You know, the alley, the one, the facility, the way it should be ran. Steve has some problems getting because, I mean, I just put a sign out there and they came in and I almost the full size. And it was only in a few weeks that we put a sign out there and we got it. I mean, sign that you can read. You know, and they come knocking in and says, can I have an application? So,
Well, I don't know, I mean, you know, what you pay them, they get to work in the air conditioning, nobody wants to work outside, they have to work in the bugs and sweat, all that stuff. But I got a lot of responses, but like I said, the majority of the responses I've got were part-time. You know, by that I mean seasonal, little kids looking for summer work,
Limited availability.
and I hired 6 of them.
yeah, but
I mean, I could hire 7 or 8 or 9, but I need somebody.
you don't get production like you should get. You know, fine to get them to do the little things around, but not the guy that's.
Let me put it this way, I mean, did you just grab one of the guys that you hired last week and put him as your head blind chef? No, of course not. Well, that's the thing, I mean, I can't take a new guy right off the bat and say, here, jump on that $65,000 machine and go out there and, you know.
Now, but if people hire kids, it's gonna be temporary for the summer.
Yeah,
And then y'all screwed up for the rest of the time, the fall, in the spring, in the winter.
but the thing that people are not understanding is you're not paying enough. You're not paying enough.
No.
You're not paying competitively for
I
equipment
agree
operators.
with you.
You're not paying enough competitively for a
Ed
system.
and I went and meet with the people here and trying to get that thing.
Yeah,
We had to
yeah.
move it twice, then we moved it. Finally convinced them that you should have a better range in order to hire the people. And we were successful in the but sometimes we just go over there and bang heads with them. And then the other things, if it's to do with money and this stuff, boy, that thing gets done like this. But if it's to something that is to create labor or to help do better up there, and we don't seem to get.
I mean, there's always things that can be done better. I don't think there's anybody out there that says the way that they do something is perfect or is completely right. But I'm, you know, I've worked very hard here to get people to do the jobs that we need to get done. We have a core base of older guys who do an excellent job. I put them up against anybody. In recent years, it's been more difficult to find people to fill in those gaps, especially, you know, in the early spring and in the late fall. I mean, I don't know, you know, and I don't have the room to have a full-time staff to carry, you know, right now we have 4 full-time people. We need 1 more full-time person to carry throughout the entire year. And I don't see as though we're not getting things done. If there were certain things that I was not doing, or not doing completely, or not doing well on a continual basis, the people out there are playing would tell me. And number 1, but number 2, they wouldn't show up anymore. So, you know, I can sit here and talk on blue in the face and so can you, but the fact of the matter is, we're doing the best we can with what we got, and I challenge anybody to come in the same circumstance and do the same thing. I mean, I guarantee you that 75% of the superintendents around here in Massachusetts, they ain't going to be changing cups at 3:45 tomorrow morning. Because you know why? Because that's not their job. Changing cups isn't their job. Walk cutting greens isn't cutting their job. Mowing rough isn't their job. Hand watering greens isn't their job. Spraying fairways, tees, collars, and approaches isn't their job. Fixing irrigation problems isn't their job. But who's doing that? Plus,
So what's
the other
their job?
What's their job? Their job is to supervise. Their job is to organize the staff to get done what needs to be done in a timely fashion. That you need to have the staff be able to do that. I'll give you a silly example, not to waste your time anymore, but it's a good example. Lancaster Country Club, they played the U.S. Open. Now, Lancaster Country Club's a nice country club in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. about an hour and a half away from where my mother lives. They have the superintendent, who is the director of grounds. He's not the superintendent, he's the director of grounds. This is an 18-hole golf course, remember. Under him is the superintendent. Under the superintendent is the senior assistant. Under the senior assistant is 3 assistants. Not to mention the irrigation tech, the spray tech, and 10 to 12 to 15 other guys on the crew. But that's the way these operations are run now. They're not run like old school operations like I used to run, or like, Neil Wendell's father used to run.
But let me ask you, how much they charge for the round there?
Oh, it's probably up in the hundreds somewhere. But it's a private club. I mean, yeah. But I mean, so that's why I'm saying.
Guys, that is not to go.
Yeah, but we don't. I mean, it's like
Real Barnstable, their director of golf has 2 to 3 PGA pros in the pro shop. They have 2 full-timers on the desk, multiple part-timers, and then they have the starters, rangers, and bag boys. Bodies are everywhere. The director of golf, just like Steve, does not do anything that I do. Nothing. He walks in, he has his pancakes, he oversees the operation, he takes meetings. Done.
And I'm not saying that's what I want to do, but I'm saying, give us a little bit more break, a couple hours.
We're just having a discussion.
Next thing. I like Dave's idea about
We push the meeting till like 5 o'clock possibly, so I get the leads out.
either that or change the day, because, to be quite honest with you, I'm serious, I'm having problems driving home in the afternoon, staying awake.
Yes.
And keep, I'm more than ready, hey, you wanna have a 5 o'clock, have a 5 a.m. meeting. I won't have any problem making that one, or a 3:30 meeting. They don't have to milk cows anymore, but that's when we used to get up and do it. But, yeah, no, if we could change the day, instead of a Thursday, make it easier for Dane not to have to, to worry about the leagues. But, pushing it to 5 o'clock, this is going to be for me.
So we're at opposite ends of the spectrum because we have leagues every night, and Isaac has junior clinics, adult clinics, so when I'm closing on the shift, those programs are in full activity right now. So I don't, I have limited flexibility.
You don't have time to have the meeting, right? You don't come in at 4:30 in the morning, right?
No. You want to have meetings at 4:30 in the morning, I'll be there.
Yeah.
That doesn't affect me at all.
No,
I was only kidding, I have to.
There'll be no cameraman.
I don't need this
That'd
truck.
be good.
I don't need this truck. The pay is very good.
We can stay at 4:30. I'll just figure it out.
So who's up there now?
What is it? Some days we do, some days I lock the pro shop and I come up and do the meeting and then I go back and close the place.
You leave those guys without any supervision in there around 4?
No, the starters, they're outside maintaining supervision of the golf course. And the pro shop is locked and the bathrooms are available. Listen, you guys schedule the meetings, I'm just making it happen. I'm here doing the meeting. I can't be at 2 places at once, and then, as far as business goes, it's kind of winding down for the day, guys aren't really buying it for this time of day.
But we should have somebody that can play.
We got 11, 18, and 25. If you want to pick Thursday. 11, 18, and 25.
I mean, with any other day, those, they all have the same hours. We can't make meetings before, what?
Yeah, we just got travel.
I could maybe do Wednesdays, but that's the only other alternative meeting.
So if it's Wednesday or Thursday, you might as well just keep it on Thursday. Yeah.
So we got 11, 18, and 25.
July 11th.
Yeah, that's the Thursday after,
4:30 again.
Do you want to do it that early or wait a couple more weeks into the month?
Will they have the numbers? They won't have the numbers done by the 18th. There's nothing we can do.
Wait till last one.
25th is the one.
we'll say the 18th.
The 18th?
So is it on Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday the 18th for that.
Motion to adjourn? A second.
All in favor?
Aye.